Hi, I'm Donna Miller. Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to take some time to show you how easy it is to mill your grain at home and bake an inexpensive loaf of whole grain bread for your family. What I've put inside the hopper of the Nutri-Mill is a combination of our organic hard red winter wheat and our Prairie Gold hard white spring. This gold makes it a lighter texture, almost a white bread texture, so your family will probably enjoy that. But I like to mix a little bit of both. I have in here 2 cups of the Prairie Gold and 1 cup of the hard red winter. So I'm going to mill this up and get the rest of my ingredients ready. Okay, by the time the mill is finished, I've gathered together the rest of my ingredients. Didn't take any extra time than grabbing a bag of dead flour. Okay, first thing we want to do is make sure that we're working with water that's between 110 and 115 degrees. This is 1.5 cups of water. Right now it's right just above 110 degrees. It'll work just fine. Pour this into your bread pan for the bread machine. Add 1 tablespoon of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. We like to use the full-bodied flavor. It has a nice fruity taste to it. Your choice, whatever you'd like to use. 1 tablespoon. 1/4 cup of our EcoSweet evaporated cane sugar. This has not been bleached, not been processed, not been refined. It's purely organic cane sugar. And now, the good part. 3.5 cups of freshly milled Prairie Gold and organic hard red winter. Here's the 1/2 cup. And 3. 3. 2, 1. I find if I count backwards, I don't lose track as fast. Okay. After that, I like to add 1/2 teaspoonful of the dough enhancer. This has lecithin, a little extra yeast in it. It has a way of making the texture a little lighter. Shelf life lasts a little longer, but this is 100% natural. There are no chemicals or preservatives in this. It just helps to make the loaf last a little longer on your shelf. In our case, the loaf barely lasts a day in the house because everybody eats it. But 1/2 teaspoon of the dough enhancer, 1/2 teaspoon of salt sprinkled across the top, and 1/4 plus 1 tablespoon of gluten. This is vital wheat gluten. Because you are using whole ground, freshly milled flour, a little extra gluten will help the bread rise. 1/4 and 1 tablespoon. Now, one thing I found that people who are gluten intolerant or gluten sensitive, when they start milling their own flour at home, it does not affect them even with adding this. A lot of people can go to this method instead of trying to look for gluten alternatives. It has a lot to do with dead flour sitting on the shelf. So, last but not least is 1 teaspoon of active dry yeast. This is instant yeast. This is Fleischmann's yeast. It's my favorite to use. And what you need to do is make a well. By a well, it needs to fill with a little bit of water near the paddle. If you have 2 paddles, you want to do it in the middle. I have 1, so I take it over to the side. And take that little well of water and fill it up with 1 teaspoon of yeast. Into the bread machine it goes. and we set ours to a bread dough, which many of them have. Great. Many of them have a bread dough setting. This way you can form a nice loaf after it's done and you don't have a square, weird shaped loaf that a bread machine might make. Press the button and wait, we're ready to go. Okay, now that the bread dough is finished on the bread dough setting, it's time to take it out. I was a little bit late on this one, so it's risen a little bit more, but you can see when it bounces back like this, when you poke it with 2 fingers, that means it's definitely kneaded enough and produced the right amount of gluten to rise. I like to oil my surface rather than flour it because it keeps it from being a very dry, dusty looking loaf. Okay, you want to put your bread on the smoothest side down on your oiled surface. Make sure your hands have a little oil on them. And flatten it out till all the bubbles come out. You can use a rolling pin if you want to. You really don't have to. But it should feel very elastic and be able to flatten out with all the bubbles. If you leave a bubble, you're going to end up with a giant hole inside your bread. So try to get them all out. Okay, now before you roll this up, prepare your pan. This is a no-stick, no-pro pan that we sell, but I still like to put a little bit of spray on it just to make sure. Put a little bit of oil in the bottom, and I'll show you why you do that in just a second. That's less for no stick and more for presentation. Roll up just like you would a jelly roll. See how nice and smooth this is? That means this is going to make a nice top. Crimp your insides and ends. This is the inside. Flip your ends under. Squeeze them a little bit so they'll stay closed. That's what your loaf should look like. Now, this is where the oil came in. Put it face down, roll it forward to where you're tucking in the ends and the bottom, and that'll make the top nice and smooth. That one may explode. That'll make the top nice and smooth and keep it from drying out when you bake it. Now, if you preheated your oven and turned it off after it reached 200, turned it off, you can go ahead and put it in. If you don't have a preheated oven and you want to let it rise and double on the stovetop, you can go ahead and turn your oven underneath it on, but put a buffer in between your stovetop. Put a Pyrex dish upside down, put it on top of here, and then you can tent either this way to collect as much heat as possible, or you can put the towel directly on top of your bread. Either way, it doesn't matter. But you want to collect as much heat as possible for your bread to rise. This way the bottom won't get too hot while your oven preheats to bake it. Your bread needs to rise to be about double its size. In my case, in my kitchen, that's about 30 minutes. Okay, the bread's risen as high as we need it to get. We're going to put it in the oven for about 18 minutes. Okay, time to take it out. That's a beautiful loaf of bread right there. It should sound hollow when you tap it on the top. Don't want to leave it sitting in the pan too long, otherwise it'll get moist. Beautiful. And the one reason I like these pans is because this will cut small enough sizes for a good sized sandwich and not the really huge loaves. Also, this loaf right here, made from all organic red wheat, chemical free Prairie Gold wheat, costs me about 78 cents, and I know everything that's in it. Not only did I save money because a whole wheat dead flour loaf of bread costs about $2.23 in the grocery store. Not only have I saved money, I also can tell you every single ingredient that's in this for my family. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Now give it a try yourself and see how much fun and how easy it is to mill your own flour and bake wholesome, healthy bread and save you money. Have a good day.